Hello, everyone. Welcome to season 2 of the Bandwagon Hockey Podcast, episode 33. Definitely had to check that before coming on. And it's been a minute. It's October 1st. We slacked way off over the summer. Ryan was without a laptop for most of it. That is why. But better late than never. Season starts in a week and a half, next Tuesday. We got a big fantasy draft coming up this week. Trades are happening in the NBA, not so much in the NHL. Zegras is still unsigned. So much is happening. Ryan, how are you? What's up? Are you ready?
I'm certainly ready. I've been craving hockey for weeks, so much so that I've been dissecting Senators preseason games like no tomorrow. My Twitter addiction is fully back.
So
I'm fully excited for hockey. But like you said, my laptop slowly died over the summer, so that was not a fun experience. And I'm now on a little bit of a loner. So
it died for what was supposed to be our last episode. We were gonna have a last episode of the season. We just didn't have it because your computer just KO'd.
Yeah, we tried to record it and it physically could not make it through
and it was gonna be such a goofy episode because your computer was so fried. I was taking the lead for hosting, and Ryan had been gatekeeping a bunch of fun sounds and stuff, and I was having so much fun. The first 5 minutes were gonna be brutal, a brutal listen. But no, I'm so excited for the season. Part of me was slightly dreaded. Ryan and I have the same Sens hat on, by the way. That was very coordinated. I'm excited for seasons tickets again. Over the summer, I was like, shit, I don't know if I want to go to that many games again. I should not be spending this much money on hockey tickets, whatever. But now that it's coming, I'm so jacked. Although you've got a big thing coming up tomorrow, eh? You're going to see Ottawa and Pittsburgh and Cole Harbour for that preseason game?
Yeah,
or is it in Halifax?
It's right in Halifax, but they practiced in Cole Harbour today, which is Crosby's hometown. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, the NHL was cool enough to abide by my fan pleasures and put a game in Halifax with the Sens. So I'm going to Sens versus Pens tomorrow.
How far is Cole Harbour from Halifax?
Not far. It's half an hour maybe.
Oh, okay. So not at all.
No.
Do you know, have you read anything about who's playing tomorrow? I assume Crosby will be in the lineup, but do you know if any of the other big boys on Pittsburgh or if any of the Sens big players are going to be in it?
Pittsburgh side, I'm not sure. I'm selfishly hoping that Karlsson plays so I could wear my
that'd be
Karlsson
cool.
jersey.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
kind of what I want to do right now.
Actually, yeah, that's underrated storyline going into that game. That's sick.
Yeah, but I do know that the Sens are mostly playing their NHL lineup tomorrow.
Okay,
so
that's sweet.
They should be fun.
They should. The Out East doesn't get a lot of NHL hockey. They don't get any NHL hockey.
Well, there's back-to-back games, actually. Today there's one in Sydney, up in Cape Breton. So
I think it's hometown hockey?
Not home, Craft Hockeyville, I think.
Or okay. Same shit. Not the same shit, but similar shit. Hometown hockey's that crappy Sportsnet CBC thing they do on Mondays, right?
Yeah, and then this one out in Halifax, I'm pretty sure was just purely coordinated for Crosby, I think, because the tickets are all Pittsburgh Penguins. It seems like it's a Pittsburgh Penguins event. Yeah.
They should have done Colorado Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I think maybe just the logistics of two American teams.
You probably want a Canadian team. You get Batherson in there. Sokolov played out there. Or did he play out there or was he from out there?
The Sens have had, or kind of have, three current players who played for Cape Breton, which is why I think they were the team selected to obviously go to Cape Breton. And then since they were already out in Cape Breton, they got probably looped in for this, as well as Batherson being from out here as well. So
it'll be sick. That'll be cool for you. Seeing an NHL game in such a small rink will be kind of sick. I think. I was at the Red Blacks game yesterday, and I was watching, and I was like,
"Oh, really?"
The Sens need to do an outdoor game here. I don't know if they ever have done one at TD Place. I don't know if the 67s have done one at TD Place, but that should be kind of a consistent thing.
Yeah, they did do. I think the Centennial Classic or whatever it was against was it the Leafs? I don't even remember.
Montreal, wasn't it?
Or maybe Montreal.
That was at TD.
It was Montreal. I think it was at TD. Yeah.
What year was that? Do you know? TD plays opened up in like 2014. Like it's not a very like it's fairly new. Consider okay. When was the Centennial Classic? I was not expecting this podcast to start this way. We have so much hockey news to like get to, and we're just talking about hypothetical outdoor games.
Yeah, I've already alluded to Crosby being on the Penguins, and we haven't even really talked about that. But
Centennial Classic was Toronto, Detroit in 2017. Okay, there must be multiple versions of this. Centennial Classic, Ottawa. Let's see when this thing was.
Or maybe it wasn't the Centennial Classic. I don't know. But
okay. December 16th, 2017 at TD Place, Ottawa versus Montreal. Oh man, I wish I'd have been like an adult when that happened. That would have been really cool to go to. I was very much not an adult when that happened. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so we're talking a little Pittsburgh right now. Okay, should we start with like kind of Ottawa, or should we just go like biggest news of the offseason, do a quick little recap? Not so much for like the people listening, because like let's face it, if you're listening to this podcast, you know what happened. But like I feel like both of us, we just need to get shit off of our chests after like 4 months of like not really talking hockey that much.
Yeah, well, do you want to spend like a quick minute or two talking Karlsson to Pittsburgh? Because I don't think there's I don't think there's much more to dissect about it. But like, just how do you feel about it?
Because that's the biggest news of the offseason, right? Like of all the things that happened, like that's the big thing. Like that was the blockbuster. I love how Dubas came in and just was like, F it, like let's go get the biggest name, best player there is out there. Salary cap, future, like the future be damned. Even though they didn't give up anything, they gave up this year's first rounder, which is going to be in the high teens or 20s if they go on a run. But like future cap be damned. Like you're going to have Malkin, Letang, and Karlsson on the cap for like, and then probably Crosby, depending on what his next contract looks like for the next 4 or 5 years or whatever. Like who cares? Like go for it. You've still got Crosby playing at a high level. You still got Malkin playing at a high level. Malkin had like a super underratedly sick season last year.
Yeah, had a huge bounce back.
Yeah, massive bounce back after that big like contract dispute with Pittsburgh too, right? People thought that he would leave, which would have been nuts.
Yeah, like I remember him getting that contract and being like, yikes, because the season before he was not good.
Yeah, and like Letang got his money and he had a great year. They signed Ryan Graves. So they're going to have a top 4 of like Letang, Graves, Pettersson, and Karlsson. Like it's going to be – the power play is going to be ridiculous. Jake Gensel's still there. He's a stud. Like who else they got? Like no, I was going to say Jason Zucker. He's in Arizona now. But like they're going to be a good-ass team. They're going to be a good-ass team.
They got Riley Smith too, right?
Yeah, they got him in a cap dump from Vegas. Or was he a free agent? No, he was a cap dump.
Yeah, cap dump.
Because then Vegas signed Barbashev to the 5x5, which was like kind of nuts, like so on brand for Vegas. Like they get praised so much for like because they got hated on forever too, right? Like they would just cast off all of their cornerstone players for the
dump the guy that's been here for years to sign the free agent you just traded for.
Yeah, as soon as they win a cup, they just do it again. Like whatever, who cares? Did we even get the chance to talk about Vegas winning?
I'm not even sure we did, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of over it. But, like, I don't know. That'll be cool. Opening night, like, they play Seattle in Vegas, which will be cool. That's a cool, like, first matchup of the year. I think Seattle's going to be good this year. But, no, back to Pittsburgh. That power play is going to be ridiculous. They're going to be a good team. The Metro, I think, got worse this offseason. Like, I don't think, besides internal improvement, like, I don't think New Jersey's going to be better. Like, they'll be a better team because, like, Jack Hughes is going to be 22 instead of 21.
Yeah.
Like Luke Hughes is going to be 20 instead of a teenager, et cetera, but they didn't add anyone per se. Although they got Tyler Toffoli. You know what? I'm just going to not touch the Devils. The Devils are going to be sick. Carolina's going to be sick.
I forgot about that as well.
Carolina's going to be sick. They got like Orlov and Bunting, and like Carolina's going to be awesome. But like those are kind of the clear top 2. And then like Washington's going to be worse. The Rangers, I think, are going to be worse. The Islanders are older. Like the Metro's wide open after the second spot. Like the top 2's locked and loaded, but after that, like Pittsburgh could sneak into a 3 seed in that division, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think like I'm sure we'll do official predictions at some point, but I think in my head I absolutely have them as the 3 seed in that division right now because like you said, Washington will step back more. And then Islanders, they didn't really improve. So
no,
yeah, I think
all.
I would solidly have them in the 3rd spot right now in that division. Like
the only way I see the Islanders improving is they have Horvat for full 82.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
like as soon as he got to New York last year, he was a pumpkin. Like he was terrible with the Islanders down the stretch after they acquired him
he was
at the deadline.
Not great. So like maybe Sorokin carries them to a 3rd spot. But like Pittsburgh won't be worse with Karlsson, so you expect them to kind of get up and in there.
That's also an underrated part about like New Jersey too, right? Like they've got the same 2 guys, like Schmid and Vanacek. Like they didn't go get a big name. So that could be a sneaky storyline to watch. The Metro's going to be interesting. It's not as interesting as the Atlantic, but it's going to be interesting. I think it's a very top-heavy division, and then I think like Rangers, Penguins, and probably the Islanders make up like a kind of a mushy middle. Maybe the Caps in there too. So like those middle 4 teams, I guess, and then like Philly and Columbus are probably going to chill at the bottom. But But no, like I loved that Pittsburgh went and did that. Karlsson actually looks kind of awesome in a Pittsburgh jersey.
Yeah. As a Sens fan, like as a diehard Sens fan, there's a part of me that hates it, but I love just the idea of them absolutely going for it. Like they didn't give up too much for it, but they still technically got older, so it's just gonna be fun to see them push all the chips in the middle for the next like 3 years to try to.
Did Pittsburgh not technically get younger in that trade?
No, I thought they got older technically.
Because I don't know. I'm not gonna look at it. I could have sworn there was a trade this offseason where a team was like acquiring an old guy, but actually ended up technically getting younger because of who they traded. Because like Pittsburgh gave up. I
could have it backwards.
Pittsburgh gave up Petrie in the deal, right? Like like Petrie's like 36. And then who else was in that trade?
I don't know. Maybe
Montreal was in the trade too. It was a 3-way thing. But yeah, no. It's weird. Like I feel like it's been enough time though, where like Karlsson in a Pittsburgh jersey, like I don't really think about like the 2017 series when I see that. It's more just like, it's weird that he's in a Pittsburgh jersey, but not because of like the Penguins horrors for Sens lore, you know?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. As I've like developed more of just a fandom for the league itself, I can fully appreciate him in a jersey with Crosby, Letang, and Malkin. Like that's so cool.
It's gonna be ridiculous.
I won't lie, seeing him pull it on for the first time, I was like, oh, okay.
There was like a solid 3-year period where Crosby and Karlsson were both top 3 players.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I'm excited. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good. Okay, let's move off of Pittsburgh. What's like the next biggest thing that you'd want to like discuss? What was like one of the big free agency class kind of stunk, eh?
Like one of the other like major pieces of news this offseason was the Matthews extension.
True. That's a good call. Let's do a few extensions. Let's go like kind of player to player. So Matthews re-ups 4 years, 13 and a quarter with Toronto, kind of putting to bed all of the Matthews leaving in free agency. He was never gonna leave in free agency.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like oh my god, it's like the city of Toronto off of the weight, or the weight of Toronto off of the shoulders of Brad Treliving going into the season. Now he's just got to deal with Nylander, who the heck knows what's gonna happen with that guy. He missed didn't he held out until December after his entry-level contract, didn't he? Like Nylander
wasn't it like the very last day, December 30th or something like that? Yeah.
Oh, I think like November 30th.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
I think like December 1st is kind of the cutoff day, but it was like the last day. It was crazy. Like it was borderline mid-year, and then he had a shit season in the first year of that contract because he didn't play for the first 2 months.
Fans were ripping him apart.
Fans destroyed him, and then now he's like a perennial star point-a-game guy, and so he's going to need a contract. He's going to get 8 figures. It's just a matter of from where. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Toronto also signed like Bertuzzi and Domi. Like they have a very different look going into the year. A bit. Did you see like how Bertuzzi dresses himself for games? Or like
I saw just like the general headshot that was going around, but I haven't seen anything else.
He doesn't put stick on like the top, like the butt end of his stick.
You mean tape?
Did I say stick on the butt end of his stick? Yeah. He doesn't put tape on the butt end of his stick. So when he's gripping his stick with his offhand, like there's just nothing there. There's just nothing there. It's insane. And then he's got like the crazy tongue hang on his skates.
No, yeah.
It's like it's so greasy. But but it's kind of wild because he's going to go score 30 goals this year and just muck it up in Toronto.
Yeah.
No, Leafs are going to be good this year. There was the whole Matt Murray conundrum where everyone was hoping he'd get bought out. Or no, not bought out. Bought out. Because that would have saved Ottawa a chunk of change. We'll get to the Sens cap crunch in a minute. But no, it was a sneaky good offseason, I thought, for Toronto. They definitely did some like boomer shit by bringing in Tree Living. Like they signed Reeves to a 3-year deal, which was whack. For like more than league min, also like 3 years for Reeves is kind of nuts. And then they signed Bertuzzi, Klingberg, and Domi all to 1-year deals. What were your thoughts on the Matthews deal? Because he kind of reset the market, and he's definitely changing the approach to like how players should maximize their career earnings.
Yeah, from the player's perspective, I love it. Like you got over 13 million, like you said, reset the market, and only went 4 years. Like I think the really smart players who want to make the most of their money now are going to look at that as a framework going forward, kind of like the NBA style of like, oh, okay, I'm good enough to get way more money 2 to 3 years down the road. I should be getting it. So I love that from the team perspective. Like you got to do it.
You gotta do it. Like what are you gonna do?
There was no other. What are you gonna do? Trade him? Have Leafs Nation hate you coming in the door? Like, I don't know. And 13.25 it's fine with the cap going up. He's a top 3 worst 5 player in the league. Like, I don't know. It's fine.
And it's only like a $1.6 million raise too, right? Like that's maybe a fourth liner for Toronto. Like. I don't know. It's and the cap's going to go up. So, I mean, it's kind of a... Yeah, it's like a lot of people were like, oh, why didn't he go 8 years, whatever. And a lot of public reception was like, do you... Like, if you're a Leafs guy, like, if you're a Leafs fan, do you want to pay... Because an 8-year deal is probably looking like 15 or 16 million a year, right?
For sure.
And so if you do that, do you want to pay a 35-year-old Matthews 16 million a year? Like, I feel like the shorter-term contract is actually good unless you're signing... like a 21-year-old, like you want to sign like Tim Stützle, you want to sign 8 years. But since you already did 5 years with Matthews originally, going 4 years is not the end of the world after that. Because now you have had you will have had the player for basically his 3 entry-level years, and then like a 9-year contract at, I don't know, give or take 12 and a half a year, which is what McDavid signed. So like, it kind of works out in the long run. But I really hope it changes how players approach career value, like valuing themselves. Like it'll only ever really affect the top, like the cream of the crop. Like this will be something for Bedard to think about in 3 years.
Well, like even right now, like I know he's not top of the top. I think we're seeing it a little bit with Zegras as well. I'm sure we'll get to that situation, but I think the reports is he wants shorter and the Ducks wanted longer, but I don't know. But
I've seen that the Ducks have offered.
Yeah, well, the Ducks' current offer is ridiculous. But like, if they wanted a long term, or if he wanted more money, I think they want long term, obviously. But whatever, obviously. Right?
But I mean, we'll get to Anaheim in a minute. I definitely want to get to Anaheim. I want to do a decent chunk on Ottawa, But yeah, and then wait, what were we just talking? Oh, Matthews' contract. But like Matthews' approach to contracts is only going to really affect like the Bedards, the Fantillis, like the cream of the crop guys coming up. It's not going to affect the, I don't know, Zegras. Like it's not going to affect Zegras. Like Zegras, probably isn't good enough to be like, oh, I only want 4 years at this big number because I know that in 4 years I'm going to be able to get this much. Like, you know, so, right. But it's cool. Like even the top end players, like that's how they should be valued because the NHL is famous for undervaluing its top end players.
Like when McDavid's up in what, 3 years?
3 years.
3. I'll be fascinated to see how he handles that.
Yeah, honestly, because he could go like 3 or 4 years, take so much money, do like, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 a year, depending where the cap's at. And that would bring him to like 32 years old. And then at that point, like someone's going to give him an 8-year deal to bring him to 40 years old if he wants to.
like I can't remember the last time we've seen somebody take max they can, which is, I don't remember what the percentage of the cap it is, but it's a percent.
I think it's 20%.
I wanted to say 20, but I wasn't 100% sure.
I think it's 20.
But like he could totally command that if he wanted to.
Yeah. Well, apparently the Oilers were willing, like this is from 32 Thoughts. Apparently, way back when the Oilers were willing to give McDavid 20% of the cap for his second contract, and he just like kind of was like, no, that'd be kind of crazy. To command $16 million a year as a 21-year-old,
right?
Like he could have, and he absolutely, like, for his sake, he absolutely should have. But then I don't know, from a team building standpoint, like, what's the difference between 16 and 12 million when you're a person?
Yeah,
right?
true.
Like, it's kind of like how much of something is too much, but no, that'll be interesting. The next few years, there's some freaking blockbuster free agencies. Like, obviously, McKinnon took himself off the market last year.
We should do a few minutes on Tampa too.
Oh fuck yeah! Okay, there's so much. Like McKinnon took himself off the market last year for this summer because McKinnon would have headlined this year summer.
Yeah.
Matthews took himself off the market for next summer. Next summer, Draisaitl could take himself off the market for the following summer, and then it's the same. 1 year later, it's McDavid. So like a 4-year stretch of McKinnon, Matthews, Draisaitl, McDavid, each resetting the market for highest paid player would be kind of sick.
Yeah, true.
And I believe I want to say the same summer that Draisaitl would be eligible to sign an extension with Edmonton, or like maybe put the pressure on for a trade or whatever, it would be the same time that Bedard would become eligible for an extension, which is obviously going to be a massive contract because that kid is going to be absurd.
Disgusting.
And so like the next few years project to be like real game changers for the next era of like NHL salaries, because best of the best, like, I don't know, I just said 4 of the top 5 players in the NHL, I would argue. And I think Makar might be coming up in the next 3 or 4 years too, because he went midterm. I think he signed 6 years. Like he's going to get a disgusting contract, could reset the market for defensemen. And then, I don't know, in 3 years, Bedard might be a top 5 player. So he could also, like, he'll be part of that group. So in the next, I don't know, in the next 3 or 4 years, it's going to be really exciting to see what happens with NHL contracts.
Absolutely.
All this while guys like Stützle and Jack Hughes are like locked into their their contracts that start with an 8 when they could be putting up 100 points a year by then. It's this weird sort of dichotomy between
it's definitely like a middle of the shift of thinking right now, because like there's still that hockey player mentality is, I'll take the security, I'll take the hey, I'm with my buddies, let's sign in, lock in, let's ride, right? But then you're starting to see it a little bit more with obviously Matthews leading the charge. So should be interesting to see how that kind of evolves more.
Yeah. All right, let's move over to Anaheim. So Zegras and Drysdale are both unsigned right now, which is kind of nuts because like we said, the season starts in about 10 days, and those are maybe not your 2 franchise pillars anymore now that you've got McTavish and Leo Carlsson in the fold. But like you'd think that internally for Anaheim, they believe that if the next time they win a Stanley Cup, you'd think Zegras and Drysdale are very important contributors to that team. And actually, now that I think of it, like Anaheim is just so loaded with young talent. Like they've got McTavish, Carlsson, Zegras, Troy Terry, Drysdale, all 3 CHL defensemen of the year, Mintyukov, Olin Zellweger, and then one other guy that I can't think of. I think that was in the queue. But anyway, like I don't know, it could be sick in Anaheim, but the fact that Zegras and Drysdale aren't signed right now when Anaheim has $16 million in cap space is kind of crazy, because they're going to suck again this year, and I don't know.
Yeah, hearing the current offer of what is it, like 3 times $4 million, or whatever it is, or I think that's what was reported anyway. It's like, it's embarrassing. They have so much cap room. He's at least a like $6 million player on a bridge deal. They're playing with fire here.
Oh yeah, big time. And it's like why?
There's no reason why.
Like why? The cap's going up. You have so much cap space. You're going to suck this year. Yeah. And I don't know. I'd be fascinated to see if either guy gets traded or requests to trade.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see Zegras request a trade, to be honest.
It'd be so good. Where would where would he
I don't know where he would go, but I think just I don't know, he seems like the type of guy that would take this personally and be like, screw you, I'm out. Especially with like two young, like very highly like McTavish and Karlsson there, like projected to be right there with him at the center position. Like he might have to move to wing or
I think Zegras projects as a winger long term in Anaheim.
Yeah, that's what you were saying, right?
Probably long term as a winger regardless. Like I don't
know. So
like
maybe he looks maybe he looks at his long term outlook with the Ducks and getting pissed off in contract negotiations. Like, I don't know, man. It's not a good look on Anaheim right now.
No, it's a really bad look on Anaheim, and I don't know if I was to if I had to bet, I'd say that Zegras probably wins this battle because usually 22-year-old like point of game guys have more leverage than shitty franchises that have bad teams and a lot of cap space. But I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe a changing of the guard in terms of player empowerment coming up. Speaking of bet, Ryan,
yes, sir.
As you may recall, we're monetized. And so that means that under the umbrella of the Hockey Podcast Network, we have a little DraftKings ad read to do. And oh boy, it is long. And it's all about football. So all you football girlies out there that may be listening, strap in because I'm about to talk about betting odds and football. So we're back with another week of football, and DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping us in on the NFL action with great offers every single game day. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Throw $5 down on any of this week's epic matchups to walk away an instant winner. And DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. Call to action. Football's more fun when you're in on the action. So download the app now and sign up with code THPN. New customers can bet just $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL with code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? ? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please pay responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles in LA, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, tough word, void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility, another tough word. Terms and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. The black text is so much easier to read than the red text. It's absolutely a disaster.
All right.
Like,
good to know.
The red text has it spells out how to pronounce the links. So when I'm saying www.1800gambler, whatever, word says W space the word dot, and it's like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah. All right. I'll put it in black text for you next time.
Well, no, I just leave it, whatever. But, I'm just saying it's not the color that throws me off. It's the content of the word, of the ad.
Yeah. No. Mid-season form though, in terms of energy.
That was solid. I thought it was good. It felt good. So we probably just wrap up there. Go out on a high note. Let's move on to a different contract dispute. Let's go over to Ottawa, where Mr. Shane Pinto apparently is being asked by Pierre Dorion to play on a 1-by-1, which is fucking hilarious because the Sens currently have $1,800,000 signed, being accounted for by one Mr. Travis Hamonic on a full no move clause, and Zach McEwen, who who is a guy, and
he's on a 3-year contract as well.
3-year deal worth $775,000 a year. Who chose to give him that? I don't know.
The Sens just so badly needed their Ryan Reeves counter for the next 3 years. So
for when Ryan
got
Reeves
Zach McEwen.
Yeah, you need that Ryan Reeves counter for when Ryan Reeves plays 26 games this season for the Leafs. No, it's a disaster. I'm pissed. This team could absolutely make the playoffs this year, especially with what's going on in Tampa, which I guess is a good little sneak peek of what we'll probably talk about next. Ottawa needs to make the playoffs this year. Like, I know people are like, "Oh, the young core is locked in." Whatever. Like, this is Brady Tkachuk's 6th season.
I think so.
Like,
that's absurd.
He's gonna be 20. He's 24. If they don't make the playoffs this year, he'll be entering his age 25 season and his 7th in the NHL, having 0 playoff experience. That doesn't fly with like players of Brady Tkachuk's level.
Thomas Chabot is approaching a decade.
Yeah, and he's been in the playoffs like once.
I don't think he has been.
I think he played playoff games like when he was called up as a rookie, didn't he? When he was wearing some like weird number, like he wasn't number 72.
Maybe like 1 or 2, but I'm pretty sure like the last player from that era that got games was like Colin White.
I'm looking up Thomas Chabot's DB right now.
I could be wrong.
Oh, he didn't get playoff games that year. Yeah. He played one. He got called up to play 1 game in 16-17, which is the year that they went to the conference final, but he didn't get playoff games. I definitely thought he did.
Yeah, I think he was around the team, but I'm not sure he played.
Chabot was drafted 2015. He's entering his 7th season in the NHL, 7th full season in the NHL, and his playoff stats are very empty. No, like this team needs to make the play. Like, I just and
plain and simple. Yeah,
part of having a playoff team is having a good third line, and if you start the season with like, who would play center right now if Pinto isn't on the line? Like, it'd be Ridley Gregg. Would he slide over?
Yeah, you maybe throw Ridley Gregg in there. Yerventi has actually looked pretty decent in the preseason. He's been getting looks at center. Those are kind of your options.
Moving Kastelic up. That guy's a black hole.
No.
I don't know. It just sucks, man. He's 22. He scored 20 goals last year, thrust into a role that he was not ready for. And I don't know, man. Like, he probably should have had a lot more points if DeBrincat could shoot a puck. And so, like, it's kind of insane how little foresight Pierre Dorion had. Because, again, like, it's back to this sort of, like, back and forth of whether or not this guy's actually a good GM because he makes good moves, signs good contracts, but then he goes and gives Travis fucking Hamonic a full no-move clause so you can't even bury his non-minimum deal. As in, like, more than the minimum, as in more than $1 million, as in $1 million that could go to Shane Pinto.
And not only is that, like, encroaching on the Shane Pinto contract situation, they lost Lassie Thompson today as a direct result of it. Like, Lassie Thompson isn't anything crazy, but, like, it's just the whole ripple effect of a decision like that is brutal.
23-year-old former first-round pick. Like, that just sucks, man. That sucks. And, like, I don't know. I'm the biggest realist with Lassie Thompson there is. Every time people did mock trades for whoever and included Lassie Thompson as like a B-level asset, I was like, no. I was like, it's not happening. Like, he's not that. But he's depth in the organization, and he's a better option than Travis Hamonic. And so, and what happened? Exactly what happened is what happened. And so, it's just not ideal. And then, I don't know if I would necessarily want to blame Dorion for this because each of these moves was praised when they happened. But $5 million in dead cap being attributed to Bobby Ryan. I think Michael Del Zotto is his cap.
Well, the Del Zotto one is absurd. Yeah, like that one should have never happened.
Del Zotto is like counting against the cap right now. Yeah, so that's crazy. Matt Murray, which I take that trade. Pardon?
And Bobby Ryan,
and Bobby Ryan and Colin White. But like Colin White, Matt Murray, like those are moves I would not take back. Like those, I agreed with those buyouts / like cap dump trades. Bobby Ryan, just kind of an unfortunately long contract.
That one was weird though. Like, and I don't think anyone saw that coming. Like I think
Bobby Ryan?
Yeah, I would have been completely fine. I think he had like 2, maybe 3 years left to just
Plus,
ride
they
that
would
out.
have sucked when they did that, right?
Yeah, like it was a weird one at the time. I think it had off ice implications, but
Okay, but like
yeah,
still, like that sucks. And
yeah,
again, bad foresight because I don't know when's the last time Bobby Ryan played a game in Ottawa. I don't know, and so it's been what, probably 3 or 4 years, and so you had to have thought like, how do you not have the foresight to be like, oh shit, maybe we'll need that $1 million in 4 years? Like, I don't know, just like it's an accumulation of small decisions, right? And which turns
yeah.
into fucking like five
I
million dollars in dead cap. And you know
yeah,
what they could do with $5 million right now? They could have been able to sign Pinto handily and maybe even added another guy. Like,
yeah. Like I truly think what happened this offseason was Pierre Dorian made the DeBrincat trade and was just going to be okay with having Dominic Kubalik being the only guy coming in to essentially replace that. But
yeah,
then he had Tarasenko fall in his lap, and he's
yeah,
just not been able to figure it out since. So I
that's
don't
kind
know,
of
man.
big too. I guess that's a big consideration because I agree with you there. I bet you Tarasenko
Hmm.
wasn't really in Ottawa's plans the same way that like a Claude Giroux would have been like
Yeah,
last year. Um, And yeah, holy shit, Vlad Tarasenko's a sin.
yeah,
And it's it's tough, right? Because that's a whole
hmm,
$5 million. I what, 3.5, depending on how many years goes to Pinto. And so
yeah,
um I don't know. He's gonna have to do something eventually. I don't think there's really an option to just wait. I'd really like for Pinto not to be holding out. I don't even
hmm,
think like it's not even a holdout. It's just like a
no,
guy waiting to be offered money. Like I think they have
yeah.
$70,000 in cap space right now.
Sorry,
I think Ottawa has $70,000 in cap space right now.
it might be a bit more than that, but like they don't have
Didn't
much to offer
didn't they
him.
sign a guy? Like didn't they have like 900K and then they signed a guy? Didn't they sign Sokolov?
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right.
I think they have like $70,000 in cap space. Let me just check that.
Yeah, I
Okay,
haven't looked at the.
120,000 in cap space
Mhm.
right now, which
Anyways, they
is
don't have much, and like, and in no
hilarious.
world should he take a million or less, which is apparently what they're trying to get him to take right now. Like, I can understand Pierre Dorian like having to ask, "Hey, this is what we have left. So would you be willing to take it just to come in this year?" But like, in no world should he be taking that, and should be Pierre like pushing that on him.
No, that's
No,
be a scum move.
yeah,
But like if you get Pinto signed somehow, I don't know how they do it because it seems like no one wants to do anything to help
yeah,
out the Sens. And why would anyone want to help them out, right? Like
yeah.
make it worth my while to help you. I'm not your friend. Like I'm trying to beat you.
Hmm.
Um, but like I'd rather see Joseph traded. But I think everyone who's like, oh, third liner making a little bit more than he maybe should. It's a 3-year deal.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not
That
just
that
factoring.
and sure, the cap was going to go up, but right at this second, there is no money in the
No
league.
one has money. No
Yeah,
one has money except for Anaheim, but
yeah,
they don't want to use it.
yeah.
But not, like it's sticky. Like I don't know what Branstrom's value is around the league. I don't. I
Yeah.
don't know if
See, like I think my preference would be to trade Branstrom for a third or fourth if you have to, rather than trade
I
Joseph
would
for
trade either.
with a first.
I would trade Branstrom for nothing to sign
Yeah, you
Pinto.
would.
I
Yeah.
would trade Branstrom for the cap space. I think that's what you would have to do. I don't think you're gonna get value for a guy because your value is being able to sign your 22-year-old 20
Hmm.
goal scorer.
Hmm.
Right? Like I think that's
Yeah.
how teams probably see it. I think Dorian's trying to get a draft pick for Brandstrom, but I think other teams are like, I know what you're acquiring in this trade, being able to sign the guy that you didn't consider
Yeah,
when you
that
made your
could be
offseason
happening
moves.
too. Very well.
So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what happens if anything happens. I really hope something happens. It'd be such a bummer if he wasn't there for the first
Hmm.
game, first few games even.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. A third line of Joseph, Greg, and Pinto would be pretty sick. I think that's probably what the third line would be, at least to start, or some variation of that. Um,
Yeah. Probably.
Probably. I don't know. It'd be a good third line regardless of what they do. Like I don't know if they maybe slide Branstrom or not Branstrom, Batherson down to the third line, give it a little more balance or what have you. But it'd be a sick top nine if you get Pinto signed. But if you don't have
Mhm.
Pinto signed, it's a little bit It's just a bummer. Like, it's still going to be a good forward group. It's just a bummer. Let's move over to Tampa, where turmoil is afloat. Coming up on 40 minutes, so maybe we wrap with this, unless you think of anything in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Sure. So Stamkos came out first day of training camp, or first day of, I almost said spring training, of preseason, or whatever it was, first media availability for Stamkos anyway. Basically, he's like, I was never approached about a contract, yada, yada, yada. He is a pending free agent after this coming season. Famously, he was allowed to hit unrestricted free agency in 2016 as like a 25-year-old, I think he was, maybe ish. Yeah, I think he would have been about 25. And sure. He was offered big money from Toronto, offered big money from San Jose, Montreal, and he ended up going back to Tampa on an 8-year deal worth $8.5 million per season. And that was all within the same hour as like the Subban for Weber trade and the Hall for Larson trade. It was the most ridiculous half hour in my hockey life and in my life as a hockey fan so far in terms of news. And this captain who put up 106 points 2 years ago and put up, I think, 84 last year, who has like completely reinvented his game. First ballot Hall of Famer, Mount Rushmore for the 2010s decade, probably ish, maybe not.
Close.
And like gonna get a statue probably outside of Amalie Arena. Like, he is the GOAT for your franchise, and you don't even go to him with a contract. And I kind of liked Brisebois' response. Like, do you want to maybe give a sort of quick little breakdown on what Brisebois said in regards to the dispute that kind of doesn't really exist in Brisebois' mind?
Yeah, in a very quick summary, it was essentially, we love Stammer, we want to keep him here, but he's getting old and we have limited money. That was essentially it. Like, we're not going to want to give him the massive dollars he's going to want, essentially. So if he's willing to stay here on a potentially sweetheart deal, we'll look at that. And that was essentially that was kind of the gist of it. I don't know. Like, I'm sure you can get a little bit more professional reading into it, but like, that was the vibe of it.
It was basically like, here he's going to be 34. We don't know what 34-year-old Stamkos is going to look like. Let's wait a bit and see what 33-year-old Stamkos looks like before we go give this guy a bunch of money, which for probably what ends up being one of his last contracts, especially if there's any sort of term attached to it. And like, Tampa's famously always under cap hell, not cap hell because they've won, but like, they've always had a significant cap crunch. And so, and they've got Brandon Hagel going up to 6.5 next year. That's a $5 million cap bump. That probably eats up the entire cap increase, like, league wide, if that. Like, it might even go up less than 5 million, probably anyway. So like, Tampa's gonna be strapped. And what's Stamkos right now? Like, their third, fourth most important forward. Like, I'm not putting him above Kucherov. I'm not putting him above Point. Like, do you put him above Cirelli even? Like, Stamkos isn't playing center right now, so I don't know. I'm not putting him ahead of...
Right now, I probably do, but like, in a year or two?
Yeah, but like, same with Hagel. Like, Hagel's 24 and just signed an 8-year deal.
Exactly.
Like, I wouldn't put Stamkos above Vasilevsky, Hedman, or Sergachev in terms of like the franchise pecking order. Like, we're talking about the franchise's like 6th or 7th best player right now. But he's the captain, and he's like probably the most important Lightning player of all time. So it's kind of crazy, like, how you look at it, because you can't be sentimental in this league as a GM. You cannot be sentimental.
It's so tough. Like, because you've seen people be sentimental like that before, and it's just it's turned out awful.
It doesn't work.
And they're a really smart franchise trying to be smart about it. So I get it, and it is logical, but it's kind of cutthroat.
And kind of fueling the tumultuous fire in Tampa is Vasilevsky having hip surgery and going down for 8 to 10 weeks. Was it hip surgery?
I think back
surgery. I was going to say hip surgery for a goalie. That sounds like way worse than what it
back still is not
still crazy, but not as bad as hip. Can you imagine hip surgery as a goalie? Yeah. So Vasilevsky out until probably after December. I mean, that's crazy. That's their most important player. We just talked about like who's more important than Stamkos. Nobody on that team is more important than Andrei Vasilevsky, especially with Jonas Johansson as your backup goalie.
Yeah, they've kind of consistently lost depth over the last 3-4 years, and the one thing that's kept them kind of steady is Big Vasi back there. So he's obviously one of the best goalies in the league, most important player on the team, like you said. So that being gone, I already didn't necessarily love their playoff chances, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I look at their team; they have some game breakers, but it's getting a little thin.
Ugly.
It's getting a little thin. And now you take out a top 3 goaltender in the league and no real plan for a backup or succession. I'm curious to see what they do to fill the hole, because I doubt they run with Jonas Johansson for 2 months.
Well, because that's been their strategy, right? Is like just scratch and claw into the playoffs. Vasilevsky starts 60 games. You do what you can in those other 20. And then that other goalie doesn't see the light of day after April. Once April hits, like that goalie might as well not even be on the roster. Might as well not even get dressed. You or I might as well get dressed and be the backup for the Tampa Bay Lightning at that point. But we've never had to see a Vasilevsky injury affect how Tampa approaches that.
He's surprised. Been weirdly healthy.
Yeah, incredibly healthy. I saw something. It said he's played 44 more games than any other goalie in the last 4 years. 3 years, maybe even. That's half a season. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot. A lot of times, that's a full weight, like a full workload for a goalie in an entire season. Like 40 to 60 games is kind of like your solid like workload for a goalie. So 44 games the whole season. And I don't know, like Spencer Martin was on waivers. I think Columbus grabbed him, so he probably didn't even get to Tampa in the waiver wire. There's going to be a big flood of goalies hit the waiver wire in the next week. So I would imagine Tampa dips into that. I don't know what kind of names are going to be available. I don't know who's available in free agency. Like, I remember last year, I think Devin Dubnyk was looking for a job, but like no one was really interested, so he retired. I don't think Brian Elliott has a job right now. Maybe Tampa circles back to him and signs him, and then as soon as Vasilevsky's ready, you release him. I don't know.
The one that comes to mind that is going to hit waivers is Martin Jones in Toronto, but like I don't know if he's much of an option either. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Dom's model had Tampa's playoff percentage drop by 13% with the injury, which is insane. I don't know if there's a single player in the league being injured. I was just going to
say the same thing.
Being injured 10 weeks, which is not even half the season, being injured for that long affects a team's playoff odds that much. Maybe like Connor Hellebuck, Sorokin probably, like those. We're talking about like cream of the crop goalies in terms of like affecting a team's season that much.
And like, I don't know who else they play in their first 2 months, but I know Ottawa plays them at least twice. And like, so if their first little bit is loaded up with divisional conference games, like that could have huge impacts, especially for how close the Atlantic is projected to be at the end.
It had been such a long time since Ottawa had played any remotely important hockey in like the new year that last year I really grew to appreciate how important 2 points against a team that you're probably going to have to chase at the end of the year is, because when you don't play a team, it's impossible to catch them. So you got to get the points when you can, regardless of when it is in the year. And 2 games against a Vasilevsky-less Lightning team is going to be so important for every team that plays against Tampa earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Anything else? I mean, obviously we missed stuff, but like I'm trying to think if there's any like egregious error. Jake Sanderson extension, 8 years, 8.05 in Ottawa. I was obsessed. A lot of people questioned it, but I mean, people questioned the Stützle extension, so I think people are just gonna find out. What else? What's a big contract that we can go out on? There might not really have been other ones.
I don't think there's too much. Like the free agent signings were
not
much this
sucked.
Year.
It sucked. Yeah. It was all just
the only other biggest trade was the DeBrincat trade, but like
that's true, but that's such old news that like I'm just over it. Detroit doesn't even register in my brain right now.
No,
the Detroit Red Wings, like we'll talk about them eventually, but
yeah, we'll get more in depth when we do like previews and stuff. I'm sure, but
yeah. All right, I'm saying it's okay. 50 minutes. We did 50 minutes with zero planning. Good for us. Let's go.
Look at us go.
All right, I think with that we can probably wrap up the episode. Quick little news wrap around for the Bandwagon Hockey Podcast to get back into the swing of things. Probably coming back with two a week, Wednesdays and Sundays. Good to see you, Ryan.
See you later.